Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simplify at MKS. This is going to be our new EMS system. If you're watching this, you are one of our partners who helps us to staff MKS across the United States. This is going to be a quick run through of how to submit candidates, opt into jobs, make sure that you have the interviews going, extend offers, and then once the hiring process has been completed, where the timesheets will be, how to make sure your people are entering them correctly, and how to make sure they're getting approved on time so that there's no issues with making sure the invoicing also happens on time. So we are going to start from the very beginning, which is when jobs are released. So jobs will be released from MKS to us, assuming they don't have a pre-identified candidate and they're in your geographical location and where you service. We will then release them to you. And so what you'll see here is Meredith starting as one of our vendors, one of our simulated vendors for our test space, and she'll be going through how to opt in, and then after you're opted in, how to start the process of getting somebody into the recruiting process for the Simplified VMS. So take it away, Meredith.
All right, so what you're looking at here is your dashboard. On the right-hand side is your pending actions. This is kind of like your to-do list on what you have to do. On the left-hand side is your widget. So you start at candidates and you work your way through the contract stage. So you can get to any portion through the widgets as well. Up top is your open jobs. So these are the jobs that you have opted into, and then your active contractors that you have at MKS. So first, we're going to start with that opt-in, opt-out piece. So again, we see here new job request, and we see that there is 15 jobs that we need to opt in and opt out on. So there are a couple different ways to go about it. You can click the job directly, and it will give you a little pop-out overview, and you click full job details. Or you can click the little eyeball over here under the view column and get there as well. Up here, since this is a test position, there is no job description, but if there was a job description, it would be listed right up here. It will have all the information relevant to the job, shift, hours, pay rate, will all be in this section. They're up here on the right-hand corner. There are two action items that you need to do. So you can either opt into this position, and that means you are going to start recruiting on the role, or you can opt out of the role. So for this purposes, let's opt into the role. So this actually sends us a notification letting us know that you have opted into this position, and now you have the opportunity to submit candidates against this role.
So we have another job prepared for submitting candidates. So we're going to jump over to 54 to take a look at how that looks.
Yes, thanks, John. All right, so we're going to hop into job 54. So again, you see that little add candidate, submit candidate. So we're going to click right here. And now there are some fields here that you will need to populate: first name, last name, month and day of birth, last three of their state ID, as well as their email address. So we're going to put a dummy email candidate in here. We'll put his birth date as today. We'll put those as his email address. Down here, the other information that you will need to select: the hiring type, W-2 or 1099. Has this candidate ever been employed with MKS? Yes or no? Onshore or offshore? Does this candidate require sponsorship, or can they work without it? Yes or no? Is this going to be a remote or in-person contractor? So you can say yes or no. When is this candidate available to start? So again, if the candidate does need to give notice, this is kind of where you would put that in. And then is it OT exempt position? Yes or no? Down here in the comment section, this is where you're going to put your candidate write-up. So what your candidate, selling your candidate, if you will, on what skills they have pertaining to the position. And down here, you'll see that the resume field is a required field. You will not be able to move past this unless you do upload a resume. The resume does need to be uploaded as a PDF version. So for here, we're just going to log in, and we are going to put in Neville Longbottom's resume. You will see here the vendor markup is grayed out. That is the agreed upon markup. with Davis, and then the candidate pay rate fields. You'll see here, this is where you would go in and put in the pay rate that in which you would like to send your candidate over for. This will auto-generate the bill rate and pay rate for the candidate. It does seem like there is a little error here, but let's see if we can move past that. John, any?
Oh, this is the one that should be. Give me one sec.
Hang on, guys. We are in test stage, so just working out the test kinks and making sure all this we can get through to the next pay section.
All right, we're going to move back one to job 53 and submit Neville there instead.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to 53, guys. So same thing, click add and submit candidate. We're going to throw in his information, his birth date and month, his ID number, his email address, ever worked for MKS before, onshore, offshore, availability date. All right. Throw in his resume.
For the sake of this test, we'll put in the pay at 15.
15?
Which is obviously lower than any of our current roles, but these test positions were configured in a variety of ways, which is why some of them had 0 because they were designed to be kicked back. So this one you'll see it says job pay rate is 1550, and now everything is populating correctly. So in our actual space, our production environment, if you will see that the bill rates will be correct. If you do ever notice one that isn't allowing you to add it, it means that something came over from Workday in error or with a value that didn't pull correctly. Please let us know. We'll put in a ticket and get that fixed right away. So, but moving on to what actually happens when you submit somebody.
All right, we're submitting the candidate. All right, so this will come over to the PMO office to get that over to the client. So John is going to be on the back end pushing it through.
Yep, so when your candidates have been submitted, they'll show up with us and we'll go through and move them to where the manager can see them. So this is very similar to the current process where you're submitting emails to us with the candidate information and then we're sending it on to the manager. But now instead of it having to go through multiple email chains, it'll just move through the system and it should be much faster and more natural. So you'll notice that the status for it is as shortlisted. So what that means is that the program team has taken a look at the resume, feels they're a good fit, and has put them on a short list for the manager to review. And so from here, the manager will make that call on what the next step is going to be. So when you see that, generally our managers have anywhere from, we tell them obviously faster is better, but most of our managers get back to us somewhere between 24 and 48 hours. But obviously we want things to move quicker. So I will also be impersonating the manager on the back end. So what you'll see when somebody has gotten a resume from you and they do want to move ahead with them, they will tell us through the schedule interview function.
Yep, and before you go there, John, you will be able to see when the manager actually clicks and opens up your candidate resume. It will say client reviewed before either the rejected or interview request. So, sorry, John, I just wanted to add that in there.
No problem at all. That's a good catch. So when when this moves ahead, and the manager has decided that they would like to request the interview, so just moved it over to the interview phase.
Okay. Oh, going into our system. We'll grab times on our end and shoot them over. I know John's going to probably be doing that right now.
So once we've reached that stage where somebody is in the interview stage, they'll have their actual interview. So we'll get that first notification telling us to schedule the interview. We'll pull those times. Once it's been set up in Outlook and we've sent that out, we'll have sent it through to the next step. And so what that will do is send a notification. So if you want to refresh your screen, Meredith, notification to you, letting you know that that interview is now official. So.
Yep. And you will also see it on your pending actions. You'll see that 2 went to a 3. So we know that we have action there. And it will say waiting for approval now. And it'll tell you the type of interview that it will be as well. So again, we can click on this little eyeball to view some more details. It will give the time and date for the interview. If it is a phone interview, we do ask that you include the candidate's number here at this time. Let's say we are accepting this on behalf of the candidate. We're going to go accept interview. This will then notify the manager that the interview has been confirmed. And once the interview is wraps up, the manager will log back into the system here and either reject the candidate and will provide a reason as to why they are passing and not moving forward, or they will advance the candidate in the hiring stage, and you'll see an offer that will come over in your dashboard.
So I'll be sending that through now from the manager side. So so you could see, like Meredith mentioned, the rejection. You could also see a request for a follow-up interview. So if you're hiring for, say, a professional level position that requires a next round or a panel interview, this is the stage you'd see that in. It works exactly the same, looks exactly the same. So we're not going to be redundant with this particular show and tell, but we'll go straight to the create offer stage. So the candidate did well. Neville's going to get his offer. So now the manager has gone in, accepted the pay rate that this candidate was submitted at, and has requested that the offer be extended to the candidate. So all the offers as they get created will initially come to our program team, and we'll let you know that you now have an offer that you need to extend. So doing that now so that you'll see what that looks like. Okay, so this offer has now been sent to the vendor so that they can extend it to their candidate. So.
All right. And as you can see on your dashboard, you see that 1 went to a 2 pending offers. So we'll click on that and then we'll be able to see Neville Longbottom here. We'll be able to view the offer details. This again will lay out everything, the shift, if the hours worked, again, the pay rate for the candidate, pay rate for contractors. So this is where you're going to need to look at pay rate for contractor. This is the offer being made, not the pay rate. This is what the job was approved for. This is what the manager is offering your candidate. And it will break down the pay rate, bill rates for that markup as well here. If you haven't already, make sure that that candidate's email address is in there. This is more for time cards when we get to that point. But let's say Neville, would like to move forward with this offer. We're gonna hit accept offer or reject offer. So we're gonna hit accept at this time. If you did reject it, you would have to give a reason as to why the candidate is not moving forward. Okay, so now you've notified that the manager that you have, Neville has accepted the candidate, the offer. Next step is we gotta view and create the work order. All right, so here is the work order. So the second to last step before the contract is official. So here we're gonna, this will kind of stay in pending stage until we have the drug and background check completed. Once it has been completed and the attestation form has been uploaded, this is kind of where you would put that, and then you would say he has completed the drug and background screens. So I'm just going to throw in a sample attestation form here. And once we have uploaded and confirmed that the candidate has done all of the required fields for MKS, we're going to hit save. All right, so this now we have uploaded this. Now we have to accept the work order. So come up here and we're going to accept. All right, John, it is in your court now.
Okay, so once you've completed everything and let us know that that candidate has officially cleared their background check, drug test, everything else for their onboarding, that lets us know that we can now start actually locking in a start date. So this is where we would discuss, where the person was gonna be at, what their start date was going to be. And so for this one, let's say that this person's start date was so that we can enter time for them for this week. Let's go ahead and say that their start date was today. So everything went perfectly. They're going to be able to start today. Good job, everybody. And so now we're going to put that person in with a start date of today. So a lot of times what will happen is after we have that initial clearance, there'll still be maybe the person that you have hired needs to put a notice. Maybe we have to wait until a training class opens with the team they're joining the following Monday, whatever it is, and we'll lock in those dates. So we locked in Neville for today for his start. So he should be now
Under the
into,
contracts.
from work order into contract. So everybody who is in your contract space, who is listed as approved, are people who can enter timesheets. So we've now moved from the hiring process into the timesheet process. Everybody who has that approved status, we do expect them to enter time anytime they've worked. The deadlines really haven't changed. We still need that time by Tuesday at the latest, and the managers need to approve it. So we do need to make sure that that stays timely. So the process isn't that much different, and the interface is actually easier for our employees to use than the one that is currently in use from Bullhorn. But we do want to make sure that, especially in the first couple of weeks, as this becomes a new system, we make sure that your employees, if they have any questions, that they go to you and that you have what you need to answer those questions. So please don't hesitate to pass questions on to us to make sure that that happens in a timely fashion. So you'll notice that you can see missing timesheets. So anybody who's active in a given week, you'll be able to see those timesheets that are missing. And the ones that are owned by you, you'll need to chase those down. Now, you can add to an extent a proxy timesheet, and it would still need to be approved by the manager. We do, however, caution you that that should be a break glass in case of emergency function. That should only be used if for some reason your employee is having severe issues and is not able to log their time themselves. That should not be the default way in which time is being entered. It does make it harder for us to track and to make sure that people are being that people understand the system if you're entering it on their behalf. So we do want you to only use that when absolutely necessary and not as a week-to-week function. So once time has been entered and submitted, it goes to the manager for approval. Like it always does. Once they've approved, you'll be able to see the approved time cards in here. You can see which ones are pending. So you have missing time cards, you're going to have pending time cards, and we will make sure that we chase the managers from our side on all the pending time cards. that we want you to be able to make sure you chase your folks for missing time cards. If there's ever a time card that gets rejected for one of your people, you'll be able to see the reasons for that as well. In the event, like these ones down here, in the event that somebody is rejected and the notes have, in this case, the notes just say, but if the notes said something along the lines of, that the hours were incorrect or that they had over-entered time, what we would ask is that you make sure you go back to your employee as soon as possible and ask them to re-enter time so that we can make sure that they still get paid on time and don't have to do anything manual outside of the system to make sure that you paid on time. So the time card system is again, it's designed to be very straightforward. There's not any active steps you need to take outside of making sure to encourage all of your employees to get their time in as soon as possible in any given week. When it comes to holidays and sick time, we'll be entering that for you. So when your folks have holiday time, sick time, you'll be able to see when those are approved, but we'll be entering that from our side for the managers to approve. So there's not any steps for you as a vendor to take in those scenarios. And then if somebody has been terminated, you'll get a notification that that contract has been terminated, and you'll need to take the appropriate steps from there. In the case of terminations, you'll still likely be receiving emails and updates and things like that from our team to give any context, but this does give you the historical of your folks who were terminated and some of the reasons why that you can look back on and see the notes for. So this particular test case was moved through without notes being added, but that won't be the case for any of our people who are fully completed. And those are all of the basic functions for getting somebody hired, checking their time, and then when they eventually close out.